Hey guys, I hope that you're having an amazing week and that you're preparing for an absolutely gorgeous weekend. I'm sitting here right now at the Teach for America office looking out the window and the weather is completely gorgeous. It's supposed to be like 80 degrees tomorrow. I'm so excited. It's time for spring. I wanted to make a little video to introduce something really, really important to you guys that's coming up on the horizon because I think oftentimes it's hard to sift through a bunch of text and a blast, and so I wanted to make sure that you guys got this in kind of a different medium as well. We are nearing the point in the year, it's hard to believe, where we are going to be having our end of year conversations. Second years, you obviously know what these are because you did them last year. First years, these are probably, this is probably your first exposure to end of year conversations. And just to frame this for you really briefly, the idea behind end of year conversations is that you get a really hard, good look at what has happened over the past year. If you're a 2012, over the past 2 years, and really analyze all the things that led to those results. So you're going to think about you're going to think about your kids, you're going to think about your impact, and you're going to think, especially if you're a 2013 core member or a 2012 core member who's planning to stay in the classroom, what you could be doing to prepare for your next year impacting students either in Memphis or elsewhere. So I want to briefly share with you the 5 outcomes that I want to see happen as a result of end of year conversations. The first one is that core members leave these conversations feeling a sense of finality and closure. I'm a really big believer in seasons of life, and I think that it's really important that as you close the year, you feel like you're closing the year. You feel like you're closing the book. You feel like you've got a really strong sense of peace about the end of your year, and you feel ready to kind of open the next chapter of your work, whatever that may be. The second is that core members leave feeling inspired and motivated. One of the big important tenets of end of year conversations for me is making sure that you guys remember why you're here. Why did you join this movement? Why is this work important to you? And what is your heart telling you about what this year has meant? As you know, as important as it is to analyze data and benchmark achieved and all of those great things, it's also equally as important for you guys to remember what you felt and what you emotionally experienced. And especially if you're staying in the classroom another year after this year, you know, getting energized and getting kind of revamped to go back in. The third outcome is that core members leave feeling very clear on their personal strengths, weaknesses, and how professionally those manifest themselves in the classroom. So the way that we're going to be doing this is through a form that you guys are going to get in the next week, where you'll be asked to analyze your personal strengths and weaknesses, and then how those bubbled up in your classroom and affected how your classroom ran. It may be that you are a super strong culture setter, but your data is not so great. And so what we'll talk about then is what natural personal strengths do you have that led you to be a great culture setter, and how can we capitalize on those? And also, what personal strengths are you lacking that caused data to be a real weakness for you? And how can we develop those and think about, you know, the ways that those can improve in the next year? The fourth outcome is that core members leave having heard from their communities. This one is crazy, crazy important because you guys are not doing this work alone. You are doing this work alongside your coworkers, under your principals, for your kids, in partnership with your parents and communities. And so as we gear up to have these end of year conversations, I'll be asking you guys to collect information from the people that I just mentioned. This won't be a big lift on your part. This will be just asking maybe 1 or 2 parents, 1 or 2 students to fill out a brief survey about you, and we'll collect that data for your end of year conversations and see how you were perceived and the general impact that you made on the community around you. And the fifth outcome is that core members leave knowing their students' academic progress and their own certification status. So this is kind of like the brass tacks, hard and fast. Did you meet your big goal? How far away from it were you? How far past it were you? And also, how close are you? How on track are you toward getting certified by Teach for America? This is super important for obvious reasons. We want to look at the just black and white numbers here. We want to see where you landed. If you're heading back into the classroom for another year, we want to see what that means for you. If you're not, we want to see just how you're feeling about that, and how we can close the year with that in mind. So I wanted to just walk through that with you, because all of those things are super important to have in mind as we kind of enter the season of end of year conversations. The two big action items that you will need to complete before our end of year conversations are these. Number one, you need to schedule an end of year conversation. I'll be sending out a Google Doc in the next week with available times for those conversations. I am moving home from Memphis to Birmingham at the very end of May on the 24th, which is the day after you guys finish your school year. That means that I'm not going to be here during the summer to have end of year conversations like some MTLDs will be. So I'll need to have all of mine finished before the school year ends. It seems like we have a long time before them, but we actually don't. So we need to get those on the calendar as soon as possible. And so that is your first ask, is to schedule an end of year conversation. The second thing that I need you to do is have your end of year tests administered and data collected, if at all possible, prior to coming to your end of year conversation. Oh my gosh, that just fell down. Really sorry about that. What this means for people who have state tested subjects like math, reading, is that you need to bring your TCAP results back to me so that we can go through them in your EOI conversation and look at whether you met your benchmark. If you are not teaching a state tested subject, meaning if you are an elementary teacher and you DRA'd your kids, or if you are a foreign language or SPED teacher and you have a different system of collecting end of year data, you need to have administered your end of the year tests and collected your data by the time you come to your end of year conversation. We cannot have an effective time together, especially in light of that fifth outcome of looking at whether your students met your big goal and your certification status, if we don't have those numbers in front of us. And so it would really be largely a waste of your time to come without that information. So 1, schedule your conversation. 2, have administered your tests and collected your data by the time you sit down with me. And if this is a problem, or if you feel like the scheduling is not going to work out, please reach out to me as soon as you possibly can to let me know that you won't be able to meet this deadline, and we can talk about how we can make it work. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys are having an absolute blast of a Friday, and like I said, enjoy your gorgeous weekend, and I hope to see you all soon.